Hey everybody, greetings from Greece. My name is Koutsoupis and I'm very excited for you to be here. So my topic is handling objections. I remember when I was young and I was working, since 14 years old as a waiter in the summer holidays. Then I was doing door-to-door sales. I was in a travel agency doing sales, and I realized that, handling objections, it's not something that it's a profession really, and being a salesman, it's not so much a profession, it's a way of life. Because whatever you do, you are persuading people or you are being persuaded for something. So you either sell or you are sold. Being capable of actually explaining your opinion and understanding what the other person wants and basically getting your point across in a right, concrete and articulate way, it's a skill that's gonna change your life completely. You're gonna be a better husband, a better wife, a better son or a better parent, a better colleague, a better employee, a better businessman, a better person. So this is very, very important. So throughout my process, there was always some, tricks and things that I was hearing, and the bad thing is that a lot of people out there, they are amateurs. They really think that this is something that there is 100 objections and you cannot handle them, or they typically reply to some questions that they hear in a typical sales way. So all of this we want to get out of the way. Like, I really want you to become a professional. I really want you to understand the game and be able to just master it and be a pro and just make as much money as you want, make all the success you want. If you analyze it, you're gonna see that there's not so many things that you can hear. In a conversation, it's gonna be either something concerning the company or something concerning the prospect. So it's basically two categories. It's either lack of belief in the company, the industry, the project, the services, something along those lines, or lack of belief to themselves. Whatever you hear, it's in one of these two categories. So you don't need 100 different ways to handle something. You know what Bruce Lee said? I don't fear the man that practices 1,000 kicks one time. I fear the man that practices one kick 1,000 times. So that's what you want to be good at. Just find your ways. I'm going to give you some proposals on what you could use and have to your arsenal, and basically just implement them in most of the things you're going to hear. Have something in mind which is crucial. Most objections, they're not actually objections. They're just small complaints. Someone might say something, but if you're going to make it a big deal or not, it's completely up to you. So many times you're going to have a conversation, someone might say, you know what, I don't have so much time. And sometimes you saying just, yeah, I get it, everybody has a lack of time, that's why we're doing this. Maybe that's the only way that you're gonna handle this objection. Most of the times you don't need to really go deep. I need you to understand that, because if you're the type of guy that analyzes everything and you're very, informative, you might get into the trap to explain so many things. But in the part of closing, you need to do less talking and do the right questions and have the other person basically find the answers on his own, or at least have him think that. Don't fall in the trap to talk so much and try to say everything, say the right things, find the perfect strategy, the perfect line. Most of the times it's not even about the perfect line. For example, communication is 85% how you say something and 15% on what you actually say. Specifically, it's 55% your body language, your physiology, your smile, everything. 30% is your tonality, how you pronounce the words, and basically how you go fast or you go slow. All of these are very important, and the 15% is about the words. So you need to understand that 85% doesn't even have to do anything about your words. So this extreme, complicated line that you're looking for, it doesn't really exist. Of course, there is smart ways and dumb ways to handle an objection, but you really need to know that it's not so much about that. It's so much more about your posture, your status, the relationship that you build with the other person, the right questions that you're gonna ask, and you really understanding their situation and being, let's say, a friend in the conversation and not ultra transactional. It's more that, instead of saying the smart word and smart phrase and smart question, it's not so complicated. So I really need you to understand, if you're really complicated as a person, you really need to simplify this. And that's my goal in this topic, to simplify things. So you're gonna hear a lot of things. For example, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I need to ask my husband or my wife, I don't know if this is a good fit for me, I need to think about it, I tried it in the past and it didn't work. It's a couple things, maybe it's 10 things, 15 things. Like, you really need to write them down. Like, I encourage you, it depends on who you talk to, you're gonna have some small variations, but these are the main things, like, oh, I'm afraid to start something new. You can think and write in your paper, like, what are the objections that you usually hear, because it's gonna be like 10, 15 max, it's not so many. So when you identify which are those, then you just find a way that suits you to handle them. There's many strategies. For example, one that I like a lot is the feel, felt, found. So how does this work? Every time, this is a principle that you need to have in sales every time, which is you always agree. You never disagree. I know that if you're a person like me and you want to prove that you're right, you want to prove that the other person is wrong, but that's not gonna make you money. So a mentor of mine some years ago, he told me, Odi, you either make money or you prove that you are right. You get the point that if you want to always prove that you are right and the other person is wrong, you're not going to make money. So you need to choose. So I guess since you are here, you want to make money. So stop trying to prove that you are right. You don't gain anything from that. So every time I agree, when I say I agree, for example, another objection, oh, it's a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme, whatever. I'm not going to say, yeah, it's a pyramid scheme. No, because that's a lie. I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to understand. I'm going to show compassion. So if someone says, hey, Odi, this is one of these pyramid things, right? I'm not going to say, hell yes, because it's not. But I'm not going to say, why you say that? No, are you dumb? And I'm not going to go into a disagreement with them. That's a fatal mistake. So let's say someone hits you with the, I don't have the money. Are you going to say, oh, you're a fucking liar. Of course you got the money. No, that's just wrong. Whatever in a disagreement way you say, it's wrong. What would I say? Of course, man, of course. Everybody doesn't have the money. Nobody has like 2.5 or 3K, in the side waiting for something like this, of course. That's why you want to make more money, right? So what do I do with this strategy? I don't create this barrier and I surprise them, because most of the times, what do they wait? What do they expect from a typical sales guy? To pressure them, to just keep hitting back with, oh, come on, find the money and be needy. But when I get the posture and I say, of course, man, I understand, like, for sure, I agree. So that's the first, the I feel you part. Then the I felt is basically building rapport and giving my story that's gonna match his story. So it will go like this. Matter of fact, George, I was like you. I was a university student. I couldn't even afford to go for a trip, not even have 3K to start a business. I was just 18 years old. I wasn't even making 1,000. Whatever is your story, the more details you give, the more real it appears and the more you build rapport. And the third step, it would be I found, which is the solution. So you understand, you build rapport by having the same problem that he had, and then the solution that works for you, which basically subconsciously means that it's gonna work for him. But you know what I found out, George? If I don't find the money, then I'm gonna be constantly worrying about money. And George, I never wanted to have this problem when I will be 30 or 40 or when I will have a family. And I knew that if money is gonna be bigger than me, then it's gonna be bigger than me in everything. Travels, if I got a health issue or if my car crashes. So I knew that if I find the money now, then I'm gonna work hard to not have to worry about the money ever again. For example, again, I want you to just get the formula and the strategy of how the I feel, felt, found works. That can be matched for every objection. If they say I don't have the time, of course, man, who gets time? Actually, I'm not even looking for people that they got plenty of time. I knew that you didn't have time because it reminds me of me. I didn't have time. I was a person that was working 3 jobs. I had my college degree to be finished. I had my dog and I had martial arts. I was just thinking, how can I find time for this? But you know what I realized? I realized that this business is especially for people that they don't have time. Because with little time, let's say that you got 5 hours per week. You can have another 10 people putting 5 hours per week. So that's a combination of 50 hours and plus your 5 hours. That's 55 hours per week. So do you believe that with your 55 hours, you can create something big? So realize that it's a duplication business. I realized that with a little time, I can invite someone, my friend in upline can help me with a Zoom or with a hotel presentation or whatever. And then I can have other people putting 5 hours per week as well and combining, that's many hours. So whichever, again, is the objection, if someone tells you, I don't know if I can do this because I tried something in the past and it didn't work. Of course, George, of course, everybody has tried something in the past. I get you, understand you, I feel you. By the way, you don't need to say all of these phrases. I'm just giving you examples so you can get the point. Because again, it's not so much about the specific words. Of course, some words they are forbidden to say, to disagree it's forbidden, but I just want you to get the vibe and the understanding. Of course, George, I tried things in the past. I know how it feels like. I was like you. I feel you and I felt the same way. I was thinking that I tried other 2 things, dropshipping and e-commerce, it didn't work for me. So I was thinking maybe it's not for me. But you know what I realized, John? I realized with the right mentorship and the right business and the right timing, that will make a difference. Because I was not the same 2 years ago. You were not the same 2 years ago, right? Yeah. And here we got a system. When you started, let's say, dropshipping, do you have a mentor? Do you have a system, or were you just by yourself? No, I was by myself. Okay, do you see the difference? And then I can show him the system that makes the difference. By the way, have in mind that besides the I feel felt found, you can always use stories. Stories is another great way to handle objections. You can use the story, and you need to be creative and know a lot of stories so you can find a matching one that basically matches with them. So for example, if I'm talking with a mother, my story is not going to be so good, and I'm going to try to find a story of a mother that hit consultant or sapphire or whatever. Or if I'm talking with an executive in a company, I'm going to find an executive of a company that works here and he hit a rank, and I'm going to tell his story. So the I feel felt found can actually be with someone else's story if I don't have mine. So you have the I feel felt found, you have sharing stories of other people, then you have asking questions. Because most of the times you jump into conclusions very fast, and that's a big mistake. So for example, if someone tells you, I want to think about it, what do most people say? What do you want to think about? Why you want to think about it? Which is disagreeing in a subtle way. So if you agreed, it's going to be, of course, man, of course you want to think about it. Of course, you want to take 2 days, 2 weeks, no problem. Fine by me. But then you want to do specific smart questions to dive into the problem, because most of the objections someone says, it's a lie. It's just a smoke mirror. You just say something just to get you out of the way, but you need to find the real problem. So if you consider that you got a task, it's finding the real problem. When you find it, it's easier to be solved. But most of the times you are fighting for a problem that it's not even real. For example, someone might say, I want to ask my husband, and after you ask some specific questions, you end up that he's afraid because he tried something similar in the past. So you see all of the communication. Of course, I cannot get everything into this quick training. I want you to understand that objections is a game, it's like a dance, and you need to understand what they really think. And when you find out the problem, it's easier to solve. For example, if someone says, I want to think about it, and you say, what do you want to think about? I just want to think about it. They're in defense mode, so you cannot get something. So another way, I call it the doctor method. It's not official like that, but I like to call it like this. You know, when you go to the doctor, you're going to say, oh, doctor, my stomach hurts. And he's going to start doing some questions, how it hurts, explaining more the pain, does it hurt here, does it hurt here? And he's going to just start guessing until he finds the right source of the pain. So that would be the same. For example, let's say that someone says, I want to think about it. Of course, man, of course, just think about it. When someone, George, tells me that they want to think about it, usually it's one of the two things. One, maybe they're not really interested and they just want to get away. By the way, I'm perfectly fine to just not work together, having no pressure. Or two, they just are not very sure, they're not very certain, and they want to just look for some extra information. What is amongst the two? I'm not very interested. Okay, George, no problem, bye. By the way, a quick disclaimer. We are not meant to persuade someone that is negative. Handling objections is not getting someone who is unqualified and qualify them by force. They say that amateurs sell, professionals short. So what does that mean? That if someone doesn't really want it, if someone doesn't really get excited about the business, perfectly fine. Let him do something else, and he's going to realize the potential here. So if someone is afraid, if someone is not sure, if someone wants extra information, if someone is skeptical, these are the people that we handle objections to make them more sure, to increase the belief and get them started. So these are the people that you want. So if someone is negative, you have nothing to do about it. Don't even stress about it. It's okay. It's a numbers game. Even if you are the best salesperson, the best closer, you cannot have 100%. Maybe you got 1 out of 3. And that's okay. Okay, have that in mind, because a lot of people try all in with everybody. But you really need to do questions to qualify. A lot of times, even in the closing process, it starts with questions at the beginning. You want to find the pain, you want to find the dream, you want to find why your service is going to solve them the problem, and then dive to the handling objections. Because if you go straight into it and you just say, okay, what's your problems, and you start handling, maybe most of them they are mistakes, they are lies, or they are not very interested. So you want to always have the open back door if they don't really want it. So let's say back to the example, if they want to think about it, it's going to be okay. So which of these two? If they say that they are not interested, let them go. If they say, yeah, I'm not actually very sure, I want to do a little bit more research, perfectly fine. When someone is not very sure, George, usually it's either the company or themselves. They don't really believe that they can make it. Which is more real for you? Me, I don't know if I can make it. That's very interesting, George. Why you say that? Again, it's very important to don't talk a lot. Do the question and then shh. let them talk, because if you interrupt them, they're not gonna give you the actual problem, and you wanna have the problem up on the surface. So let's say that they say, because I tried something different in the past. You see, from I wanna think about it, we moved to I tried something similar in the past. What is the thing that you are worrying you cannot make it? What is the similarity between that and this? Marketing, I cannot really persuade people. Okay, so that's it. So another strategy I got is validating the objection. We need to wrap this up, but if you want to have an extra strategy to your armed force is the 3-step framework. So every time I hear an objection, there's 3 steps. 1 step is I validate the objection. Then I confirm the desire. 3, I go to consultant mode to find the solution. So let's say that they say, I'm not a good salesperson, I cannot persuade. That's really it. So that's your problem, that you cannot persuade. Yeah. But you want to make money from this business, right? Yeah. Are you sure? Yes. I asked twice. Are you sure? Why? Because firstly, I got posture, I got status when I ask them and don't pressure them. And after they say that this is the objection, I confirm the design, then I go to consult mode to actually find them a solution. Okay, George, so let me explain you how it works. And then you explain why he doesn't need to persuade people because the system and the presentation, the applying, blah, blah, blah. That can happen with anything. If someone doesn't have the money, same thing. Of course you don't have the money, man. Of course, let's say that you had the money, let's get the money aside. Would you do it? Like, that's the only problem? Yeah. So I'm validating the objection. So you really want to build a business? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Why don't we find a solution? You can say, okay, George, if let's say someone hit your mom and she went to the hospital and you needed 2.5K or 3K, whatever, to get her the medical bills to pay them. Would you find them? Yeah. Okay, so you see, it's not about the money. It's never about the money. I need you to have this clear. It's never about the money. If they're very sure, they're gonna find a way. If it's a medical bill, if someone got into prison, if the car broke, or if the bill in the electricity came and was more expensive, if they find the perfect deal, they would find the money. For example, if someone found a Rolex and it was worth 10K and they find in a crazy deal 2.5K, they can borrow, they can sell stuff, they will do stuff that you cannot even imagine. They can go get a bank loan, whatever. It's never about the money, it's about the certainty. So every time you hear the objection, have in mind that firstly, most of the times it's not really true. Secondly, you don't want to really dive into it from the beginning, from the get-go. You want to understand if that's a real objection, so you got the 3-step framework to validate it, to confirm desire, and then to find the solution. If it's about the money, just make sure to understand why they're not sure, because if someone's 100% sure that they would start, they would find 3 people with a big pack and they would go sapphire and they would make 2.5K back. You think they wouldn't find the money? So it's not a money problem, it's a certainty problem. Again, the time, we know that's not a problem. They can invite some, you do the presentation, you do everything, they hit the rank. So it's not a time problem. If they need to ask the husband or the wife, of course ask them. Are you thinking of doing the business together? No, I just want to get your advice. Of course ask her. And then you can do a feel for fun. For example, I asked my husband as well. And actually, if you're like me, you already asked her before you get in the call, right? She already knows. So what do you think is going to be opposed to from what we talked until now? And most of the times what they're going to say, that the husband or the wife is going to say, that's their objection. Because how do they know what the husband is going to say no to if they don't even know what we're doing? So they use this as an excuse for a way out. Again, you're back in the game. But if you say, why ask your husband? No, don't ask your husband. You have conflict. There is no trust, and if there is no trust, there is no closing. Again, it's a big game. I can talk for days for this, and it's hard to just compress this very quickly. But I want you to understand that either I felt the same way, I found this, the 3-step framework, sharing stories from others, basically asking questions that's gonna help you find out the problem. That's the best way to understand. And then just find out 1, 2, 3 cool ways that you wanna handle each objection that suits you. And just become a pro. It's just a game, just do role playing every day. Because I know that if you want to take your business to the next level, you're gonna go to other countries, you want to just train people and do massive results, you want to hit massive ranks. I am here for you, I root for you, and I congratulate you. But you need to get these things on place, because without the skills, without the mindset, it's very hard to succeed. So go big, go abroad, go do this. I will see you guys on Budapest Convention. Let's go.